Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, nice.
All right.
Okay. Our tale begins as the curtains close on the 19th century. This evening is as ordinary as they come for London, England. Mist hangs thick, beclouding the radiance of the moon and modest glow of gas lamps. Now, a word of caution, if I may. Take care on the streets tonight. It wouldn't do for you to become the target of villains lurking in the shadows. Even Scotland Yard, the pride of our city, has yet to solve the many terrifying incidents that hide comfortably in seediest corners. Most, perhaps, would scurry away with this advice, then stroll blissfully into a trap. You strike me as an unusual sort, however, so should you find yourself drawn to the unsolvable, steel your nerves and see your case through to its end. Take solace in knowing that London is home to more than the purely unjust, for the just find their places amongst the likes of brilliant detectives and fearless gentlemen thieves. The curtain may soon close on the 19th century, yes, but upon the resounding chime of Big Ben, a new tale of love and adventure like no other begins. Year 18, Whiteley House, London.
This is so yaoi. My lady, we mustn't tarry a second longer. We're running late.
Yes. I know that. It's my dress, you see. It's a bit too tight for my liking. And this one's me too? Okay. With help not far behind, I stepped through the hall at a bold pace.
Oh, of that I'm sure. I had to lace your corset tight at this time. Your figure has been rather distressful of late, around the waist in particular.
Isn't true? I'm simply growing. Girl needs to grow in all the right places if she's to become a proper lady, you know.
I know, yes. To think the day would come when you chose to wrest it that of your own volition. But it speaks to your growth from a tired into an elegant young woman. Your mother and father would take great pride in seeing you as you are now. Perhaps a bit more pride were you to strive for a slimmer waistline.
I told you that isn't true. Please, just for today, loosen this corset. And do we have anything with a smaller heel? It's difficult to walk in these.
You will have to put up with both, my lady. Your dress... Majesty's birthday. This will also mark your debut into high society.
Pendleton was right, and yet it still did not ring true to me. It was only 3 months ago that my life had been one of peace in the countryside. But gossip has a way of spreading quickly amongst the nobility. Word reached the royal family that I had returned to London to assume my role as heir of House Whiteley. The invitation was only natural, given this news, and with it came a certain expectation that my attendance would end in prospects of marriage with fine suitors. If only I cared.
With how many members of the nobility will be in attendance, I feel the need to remind you that failure is not an option. Have I made myself plain?
Very. I only have one chance to make a good first impression.
This marks the beginning of your becoming a woman of refinement, marrying a perfect gentleman and rebuilding House Whiteley. Only upon completion will I feel confident I'd paid my debts to Lord Robert and Lady Olivia. You've nothing to fear, my lady. The first step is always the most daunting. And please, remember to wear that necklace with all the came before you.
Popped at the precious heirloom around my neck. Of course, our name is our legacy, and I will protect it. With all that my Earth Father gave me.
Your enthusiasm is touching, but I hope it begins promptly with how you conduct yourself before an audience.
You worry too much. I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
I worry precisely the right amount. In contrast to the ladies and gentlemen of London, you exhibit the air of... Oh my god. Of the... What is it? You exhibit the air of eyes an unruly schoolboy from the countryside. Like night and day, really.
Please, that's enough, Pendleton. This man is Pendleton. As the head butler of House Whiteley, it falls upon his shoulders to care for my every need. He's honest. It's a bit too honest, but there is no one in this world more attentive. He also takes time to educate me in a number of subjects as my personal tutor. Be it manners of the nobility, history, literacy, music, or the arts, he has always instructed me with the same rigid intensity as one would man. It's an astounding feat, for he not only serves these needs, but our guests, our family, finances, and whatever new thing that requires his attention, to which I confess, new things happen as often as my inclination for mischief. I should feel more guilty than I do for adding to his burdens, but who can resist the urge to sneak away from the mansion for a stroll through the city, or the fun of climbing a tree? At least he appears to enjoy the lectures that come every time he catches me.
So you are absolutely confident your manner is that of the finest lady?
Oh, that I am, and nothing less.
Do you see that woman walking along the pavement? Picture her to be the very definition of a proper young lady. Should that be the case, you are the dog at her
What dog? Pendleton pointed, and I felt a rush of excitement upon the sight. What a charmer! That's a Cavalier Night Charles Spaniel, isn't it? Looks so small that it can't be older than a year. Oh, what a dream it would be to have one of my own.
My. In one ear and out the other. As it stands, I spend enough of my time looking after you. I don't know if I could spare another minute for a dog.
Well now, Pendleton, don't exaggerate. And look at that. What's there?
Good heavens.
The rhythmic clacking of wheels on cobblestone continued in the background. A short while later, I heard the boisterous boom of Big Ben, indicating 11 o'clock in the morning. Her Majesty's birthday party is going to start soon. I can't wait. I gazed out the window to take in the bustle of the city. Energy was abound. Even what few clouds there were in the sky seemed to move to the same vibrant energy as the masses below. It was there, admiring all the wonders of London, that I first wondered where my debut would take me. Sherlock Holmes.
I like how there are some Japanese names mixed in London.
It's like Saffron Tokyo, but like London.
Yeah, I was already trying out like 4 or 5 different voices here. I imagine we would have to do more than one, which is awesome actually.
I like this music composition. So nice.
Soon arrived at Buckingham Palace, home of Her Majesty the Queen. The Queen's guard stood dutifully upright, giving entrance to guests dressed only in the most beautiful gowns and fittings. I was nervous, yes, but another part of me shivered with that positive anxiety one has at the prospect of a new thrill. Good day to you. I am Emily Whiteley of House Whiteley. Would this be where the birthday party is being held? Pendleton swiftly presented the guard with an invitation from a white envelope.
We've been expecting you, Lady Whiteley. Please, right this way.
Thank you very much. Just as I had been so often instructed, I gobbed my skirt the tiniest bit and curtsied. The guard was kind enough to escort us, and it took no time at all from there to reach the enchanting halls of the palace. Oh, what a sight this is! As it ought to be for Her Majesty, of course, but I still can't hide my surprise.
Indeed, it is a marvel. I trust you won't get lost in the crowd, my lady.
Beneath the vaulted ceiling, champagne flowed and tables were bountiful with exotic fruits, exceptional tea leaves, and delectable baked goods. A smile here, a reserved laugh there, distinguished gentlemen and dignified ladies conversed fervently, always in character, but in a way that was sincere, the one free of judgment. The air was perfumed in sophistication that could have overwhelmed me were I any less prepared. Indeed, it was a party for the aristocracy. There's not a frown to be seen, though I don't see Her Majesty anywhere.
She will be here soon enough. I hear she will be accompanied by a cat given to her by the King of Siam.
Really? I didn't know the royal family had a cat.
It's very recent, and one given due to it and the Queen sharing birthdays, as monthly chosen gift.
Well, today is more than a simple gathering then. What better occasion than a birthday to strengthen the bond between royals? The decor dazzled, and there was no better compliment to it all than the gowns of the guests in attendance. Bunny?
Pardon me, but would you care for a drink?
The man presented a tray with several amber-colored champagne glasses. I'd love one, thank you.
Here you are then, milady.
I didn't have to hold it very close to my nose to catch the glass's rich aroma. It was whilst wandering around the hall, drink in hand and amazement never ceasing, that two very distinct voices suddenly caught my attention.
Well, this is certainly a party, isn't it?
Boys passed me by, wrapped in conversation. Oops! And, in a completely unrelated incident, the shoulder of the guest behind me collided with the hand holding my champagne glass. The glass was thrust from my hand and went soaring through the air. Oh, dash it! It's going to break! My eyes closed. I couldn't bring myself to watch it shatter.
I love me some question marks, right? It always gets to me. That was close. Are you all right?
Me?
Yes, you.
Strangely, no such awful sound came. There was a pause, but there was no sense of public humiliation waiting for my eyes to open, all very opposite to what I expected. Rather, one of those passing boys was before me with my champagne in hand.
And your dress? Did you spill anything on it?
The taller boy with the chestnut-colored hair smiled as he returned the glass. Nerves gave way to relief. There was an ease to him that was infectious. I don't believe so, but thank you for asking.
That's good to hear.
Smile still holding true, he made certain I was holding the glass steadily in my hand again before fully letting go.
It's been a shame if a party like this was ruined over a dirty dress.
Watson? Are you quite done? We don't have time for this.
Oh, sorry, I'm coming. Enjoy the party.
I will. You as well. With a wink, he had turned and was ready to continue on his way. The other boy, shorter by comparison and with black hair, bared me a quick, impatient glance and nothing more.
You're the one who said he must be fed up to his ears. Hurry it up.
I apologize, didn't I?
That was that. A rather odd couple, are they not guests? Of all the guests here, they were the only ones dressed in clothes suited to a simpler occasion. Come to think of it, the name Watson is familiar, but from where? Didn't take long to recall where I heard it. I remember, they're detectives, like Sherlock Holmes and John Watson. Then he must be...
Dr. John Watson's son, I would assume.
As I suspected, which makes the dark-haired boy...
A son of Sherlock Holmes, yes.
So he's the Sherlock Holmes.
They say Watson's son played the role of assistant also. To Holmes Jr., of course.
Well, now that I know who they are, that explains why they don't appear to be here for the party.
Neither were born from the aristocracy, so I suppose they wouldn't. Could they have been summoned to investigate something then?
Did something happen?
Shh! My lady, your voice is much too loud.
Oh, how unladylike. But I'm curious, if Holmes Jr. is here, there must be a reason. That childish urge to investigate further was growing. Of course, Pendleton was with me, and he would never allow it. Well, better to beg forgiveness than ask permission, as they say. My word, look at this adorable flower arrangement. Sunny glow, summery flair. It's perfect for a party like this, isn't it? We should have some for the mansion. I pointed to the flowers decorating the hall.
You have a keen eye, my lady. Those are an impressive display of Her Majesty's favorite white roses. Their vibrancy gives color to the halls in a way few other things could. If I am able, I'd love to use them for future reference. Note that the remarkably fine balance between the leaves and blossoms. Excuse me. They are lovely, yes, but it will take more than flowers for today to go well. For today to go well. The heart of the British Empire is at stake, so we're even one thing to go amiss. My lady? Every single time. The moment I turn away, off she goes.
After escaping Pendleton's watchful eye, I eagerly began to pursue Holmes and Watson. Where did they go? I was so certain this was the way. There were so many guests. I knew this before, of course, but the number felt so much greater than when I had to search through them. Yet I soon met success. The boys were still amongst the crowd, their clothes giving them away.
I'm coming! Don't leave me behind!
Followed after the two boys.
Right this way, gentlemen.
That uniform must make him an officer of the yard. Our proud London Police Department was none other than Scotland Yard. Save for the City of London itself, their jurisdiction covered the entirety of Greater London. But isn't the Queen's Guard charged with protecting the royal family? Why would they be here?
I'm here to speak to Inspector Lestrade. Please.
Of course. He's been waiting for you. Right this way.
Thank you!
Together thanks to the officers before briskly passing him into a room deep within the palace. So it's Scotland Yard that summoned them. That officer seemed rather agitated too. Has something gone wrong after all? As I considered the possibilities, the extravagance of the party and eager whispers in anticipation of Her Majesty's arrival faded into the background. Then a terrible thought occurred. It can't be! Did something happen to Her Majesty? I can't stand idly by. There was no suppressing my growing curiosity. I made certain no one was looking before I motioned towards the room and slipped behind a curtain.
Hello there. Hope you didn't mind the short notice. I did try to telephone your father, but as also he often is, he had his hands full with another case.
Holmes greeted the man with a frown.
I don't believe talk of my father is relevant. Now what's happened here?
True enough. My fault, I tell you. We've been searching every corner, but we've come up short on all counts.
Could you make it brief? Not much time, do we?
I knew it. Something happened. But what could they be searching for?
If possible, I should like to speak to the Queen directly as well.
What? Directly, you say?
Directly, yes. One can solve without data. Would be best to have you confirm a few things, so you would, Inspector.
Absolutely not. Her Majesty is too busy preparing for the ceremony.
Inspector.
Holmes' stance was one of assumed superiority, and the assumption was correct, but the inspector crumbled immediately.
From what I hear, 5 cases you undertaken this year have still yet to be solved. Is that correct?
Where did...
Let's concern ourselves with the strangling case in Piccadilly. The event occurred at 8 o'clock at night, and the yard concluded to be the work of an immigrant whose goal is money. But according to the coroner, the victim was choked in such a way that he would have seen the killer from the front. Does this not strike you as peculiar? If what the killer wanted was money, he would have choked the victim from behind. I can only think there was someone who could approach the target from the front without arousing suspicion. 2 scenarios come to mind.
Holmes?
The first is that a killer knew the victim well. The second is that he played the part of a good man, a simple tourist or perhaps a happy drunkard, those with whom you would naturally lower your guard.
Ugh.
However, no evidence of a struggle was found at the scene, not even a witness report of unusual screaming or shouting. That leads to one answer, only one. The killer and victim were friendly, yet the police state it's nothing more than a robbery homicide.
Well, no, it isn't quite so...
Next, we should look into the unsolved mystery involving a corpse found early in the morning near the Thames.
Oh, alright, Holmes, that's enough.
I'm only stating the facts.
Perhaps so, but is this the time or the place?
My point is that with information scarce, our current case will remain just as unsolved. Inspector Lestrade, I must insist you grant me an audience.
Well, she can't have gone far. Sergeant Ryan?
Yes, sir!
Start the search. I want every blade of grass within 5 kilometers of Buckingham Palace examined. She may well be right under our noses. Use every member on staff if you have to. You must return her to Her Majesty as soon as possible. And if so much as a single hair is out of place, you won't live to see tomorrow.
But Inspector, we can't possibly do a search that wide in so short of a time. It's more impossible, really.
And that's why I keep... And then... whoopsies. And that's what's keeping you here. Move, damn it!
Her? Then it must be a relative. It couldn't be a member of the royal family was kidnapped, could it? The sudden flicker of worry upon discovering too much came to me. I grew concerned, restless. How could this have happened? And here of all places, what a thought! Breath held, I composed myself once more and listened closely for more information.
I see she has the sense to stay for some time. Unlike that stubborn ass.
You're one to call others stubborn.
She's coming here? Men, take your places and salute Her Majesty.
Oh, hi. Nonsense. You needn't stand on ceremony.
Her tone was moderate, with no stress on any syllable, and yet it was so lyrical that everyone stopped to listen. I gripped the curtain I was hiding behind on instinct. It was she, Queen Victoria. Certainly, there was no need for her to command attention, for an attractive dignity was implied in her every manner, a dignity which could never be achieved with practice.
How do you do? You are Sherlock Holmes and William Watson, correct?
It's a great honor to make your acquaintance, Your Majesty.
And for me as well.
The pleasure is mine. I've got great faith that both of you will solve this without incident. Now, if we may speak of the case, you are to search for my dearest Chelsea. She is the only 1 year old.
The name was new to me. She can't be a princess of the throne, then. A relative, perhaps? If even distant ones were invited, then it's possible it's one of them. I listened closer, 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 until I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned to see a familiar face next to me.
Oh, hello again. What are you doing here?
Hello! It was Watson, the boy who saved both me and my champagne glass.
Oh, must be fate that we've met again so soon. What brings you to this part of the palace? Are you looking for the restroom?
Oh, well, that is, All eyes were on me as I hunted for an excuse.
What's going on? Who are you?
It's, the palace, you see. It was so beautiful wherever I look, and I'm ever so thrilled to see it, so I found myself wandering here by chance. Was the best I could come up with?
What rubbish. Your lies appear right in your face. Here's what I think. You slip in here, curiosity piqued, we're drawn in by every word. You're a right disappointment.
A rat. He spoke to me the same way he did the inspector, with complete unfiltered arrogance and a sharp-featured face framed by dark hair that could have done with a trim. Oh, it may have been a respectable length, but only for him. It softened the angle of his nose, chin, and eyes, which were all very intimidating in sections, but uniquely handsome when arranged together. Oh, stop that, Emily! Now isn't the time to be admiring boys!
Holmes, don't you think that's too direct?
Forgive me, Watson. I'm afraid I don't have the knack for pleasantries as you do.
And just how did our officers miss a young girl? What do they think we pay them for?
You pay us to prevent criminal activity and to keep Her Majesty the Queen safe, sir.
Well, if you know that so well, you should know how serious it is when you've botched it all up, you idiot!
Holmes seemed content to ignore them, turning to me again.
You there. Can you swear not to breathe a word of anything you heard here?
Yes, I wouldn't dare.
Then you'll never speak of being here.
I won't. You can take me at my word. Really?
One last question. Then, what is your name?
It's Emily Whiteley.
I see. My name's Sherlock Holmes. Just a sure name's fine. And with that, Miss Whiteley, I suggest you leave immediately.
Harsh order, but an appropriate one. I had no excuse left to stay, and so I excused myself politely. And then came an objection from the last person I expected.
I must ask that you wait, dear Emily.
Me? None other than the Queen requested me. Is something the matter, Your Majesty?
You are the daughter of Olivia Whiteley, aren't you?
Why, yes, I am. May I ask if you met her?
We knew each other well, as it happens. She did a great deal for me in the past, and it pleases me as well to know that you, child, have blossomed into such a stunning young lady.
Oh? Did she remember me from somewhere? I had no idea she knew my mother, much less me. I beg your forgiveness, but I fear I don't remember our being acquainted.
That's no fault of yours. You were only a child when we met last.
I didn't realize. Her Majesty smiled, and the sight flushed me with warmth.
The world is lesser for the loss of your mother, including my own. There are so many things I should have liked to say to her were still with us.
This was no rehearsed sentiment from royalty, but a genuine thought. She sincerely mourned my mother's death. Thank you for your kind words. She would have loved to hear them.
You know, you remind me of her. She too possessed a natural curiosity, always meddling in one thing or another.
Was she?
If I may ask, Emily, would you be so kind as to assist these gentlemen?
Me? For the case?
Your Majesty? I don't...
This matter cannot be solved soon enough. There's little knowing what they may do next.
Majesty's expression was grave.
To ensure Chelsea comes home safely, I believe it would be best to work with as many hands as we can find. And you, much like Olivia, appear as if you have a special touch with animals.
I do. The assumption baffled me. It's very true that I loved caring for them when I lived in the countryside, but how would that help here?
Your Majesty, may I ask what you mean?
Very well. I shall explain the case in detail.
He faced us as if ready to begin an intimate conversation.
2 hours ago, my Siamese, Chelsea, escaped the palace.
So it cut, is it?
See, so that's who Chelsea is. Come to think of it, Pendleton mentioned that the Siamese king's gift was a cot.
A, for my part, is an important opportunity to deepen our relationship with Siam. I was to attend with Chelsea. The darling was an ever so thoughtful gift from their king. So thoughtful, in fact, he ensured her birthday was the same as mine. Everything began in the dressing room, where one of my maids was brushing her. I wished to pay her a visit before her ceremony. Now, it bears mentioning here, and I regret to say this, that Chelsea is not particularly fond of me. Yet we wouldn't do for His Majesty to see her being so cold, and so I reached out my hand to pet her in hopes she would be friendly. I hadn't expected her to dislike even such a small touch. She jumped straight out of an open window, and we've yet to see her since. She was last seen running along the wall towards Hyde Park. An hour would be sufficient enough time for her to reach there, I should think.
Not help but think of how ordinary a concern this was. She was a queen, a woman of poise and worldly power, and at the same time, simple human of compassion. I can't put my finger on why, but seeing her fret this much is rather sweet. Her heartache moved me. How could I not wish to help her? I must do something.
I understand. Your Majesty, may you tell us of any distinguishing features?
In contrast, Holmes appeared to feel nothing, merely seeking details that would aid his work.
Certainly. Siamese cats are known for their deep blue eyes and nearly black ears, tails, and paws. Chelsea, however, is quite rare case. Her tail is not black but white. You may also note her collar, which reads, "May the bond between Britain and Siam last evermore." With His Majesty present today, I was hoping to show her to him. The collar itself is crafted from the purest gold, fitted with 2 rare diaspora gemstones mined from Siam.
Ah, then the collar alone is worth more than its fair share in the black market.
Indeed it is. Chelsea may be in danger were someone to know its value.
May? Almost assuredly. Imagine a stare from a wandering cot with a collar so extravagant.
If only I had given her better care before this.
Her Majesty sighed deeply.
I know well how to look after dogs, but cats are still new to me.
I imagine most would feel the same. Dogs were a popular pet in London, so the highest of their popularity now, with dog shows being held by the upper class nearly every day. Cats, however, had no such excitement about them and were a rare sight.
I can only reason Chelsea leaped into the garden because she was afraid of me. But whether she likes me or not, her home is here with me. Please bring her back before the ceremony begins at 2 o'clock. Chelsea is a symbol. To have her gone missing would be a terrible blight on the bond we've worked past year to strengthen.
Your Majesty.
Emily Whiteley, Sherlock Holmes. Very sincerely, I request your assistance in this matter. Please, cooperate with Scotland Yard. Bring her home to me.
Certainly, Your Majesty. But I wish to voice some concerns regarding Ms. Whiteley.
If I may, I interrupted Holmes before I could stop myself. I'm hardly a detective, and I feel as though I'm still learning much about the ways of the world, so your concerns are valid. Rather, I mean that even with my lack of experience, I'm sure I can do something. So if it pleases you, Your Majesty, I would love nothing more than to help.
Come now, miss. A little more reassurance wouldn't hurt. Speak with confidence. I'll solve the case. Or some such... You don't have to mean it.
I could never swear to Her Majesty so recklessly.
Not even a white lie? Again, I see your mother in you.
The warm smile of hers returned.
Your Majesty?
Inspector Lestrade, I see your reasoning, but to encourage a young girl to speak lies to your queen sounds most inappropriate, does it not?
No. Well, yes. So it is. That wasn't my...
Her sincerity will, I believe, help her to notice things you veterans would overlook. I should like to trust someone with a heart as golden as hers. Much like how I relied on Olivia in the past.
You were relying on my mother?
I have a feeling that necklace you wear will guide you, Emily.
Do you recognize it? It's the necklace of House Whiteley. Glopped down as she mentioned it.
Holmes Jr., her unique perspective might be of assistance to you. Do you look for Chelsea together with her?
As you wish, Your Majesty.
I have the utmost faith in you.
Nervous as I was, Her Majesty's kindly smile gave me the push I needed. Thank you, Your Majesty. I'll give it my all. And with that, I became part of the team in search of Chelsea.
Well, that was a surprise. Didn't expect Her Majesty to ask you for help. Sir, my apologies. A bit rude of me to say something like that to a young lady of your standing, I think.
Not at all. Please speak as you normally would. We're close in age, so it's only right.
Oh, don't mind if I do then. Besides, I haven't properly introduced myself. My name's William H. Watson. You can call me Watson, Miss,
Emily Whiteley. Emily would do just as well. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Watson.
Well, the pleasure's all mine, Emily.
Watson gave a broad grin.
If you don't mind, I was wondering something before. What rank is House Whiteley? I can't imagine that many nobles with close ties to the Queen.
But it was my mother who was close with her, not me. I was only invited for today's party.
Are you distant relatives, then? Representatives of some kind?
Goodness no! How could I possibly be royalty? I'm neither distant nor close. I'm as surprised as you are, even. I wasn't aware of my mother's relationship with Her Majesty.
Then, well, why were you in that room?
I was eavesdropping. I didn't plan for this to happen. Really.
Oh, so you weren't going to the restroom?
I could be doing both.
I can't believe I was so on the mark with you. Even a child was sneaked away to a meeting with Her Royal Highness of a mere curiosity.
Holmes, unlike Watson, appeared irritated by the friendly conversation.
Well then, if we must, then we must. But don't get in our way. Are we understood, my little princess?
Holmes, you can do better than that for a lady.
Not to worry, Holmes. I'm stronger than I look. I have the energy of 10 men.
Interesting. That's so, Emily. Then again, you do seem rather strong for one of nobility. That is very odd.
We first stopped where Chelsea was last seen. This wall is so tall, but I should think it no trouble at all for cops to climb up and take a stroll. Lestrade arrived not much later with someone new at his side.
This young woman is the maid who was looking after the cat.
It's as he says. I was brushing Chelsea right before she ran off. I chased after her straight away, of course, but unfortunately lost sight of her before long.
Could you tell us the exact spot you saw her last?
Yes, I'm quite certain it was somewhere around here.
He pointed to a corner of the wall.
I see. Let's check with paw prints. Watson, would you assist me?
Coming!
We should check for clues as well.
Please do. We will check the east side, so we'll leave the other side to you, Inspector. Be on the watch for white hair scattered about. Do your best now.
Oh, I will. They used to call me the Hound. I'll have you know, whatever needs finding, I shall be the man to discover it.
Inspector Lestrade and his officers were then off towards the west.
Now then, let's find ourselves a cat.
The Yard essentially won't, so we'd have a choice in the matter.
Oh, why do you think that?
Look here.
Holmes pointed to the ground. It was covered in human footprints, and between them all was a shimmering something. He bent down to pick it up. That's it, isn't it?
It's a bit dirty, but I've little doubt. This is Dietspore. I've never seen a gemstone in person, but to my knowledge, it's an orthorhombic stone mostly is clear but possessing a slight yellow hue. Its primarily crystalline structure is...
Your lectures are, as always, stimulating to the mind, but for now, we best focus on the cat.
See this? More paw prints.
Next, Holmes pointed from the ledge and traced downwards. There aren't any others since yesterday's rain washed them away, yes? Then Chelsea's would be easier to find. Do you think she jumped over the wall from here?
Cats could jump rather extraordinary heights, true? But not that high. It's more natural to think she climbed this tree first before jumping over.
The logic was sound. The trail ended before a tree at the wall. Look at that! It's exactly as you suspected.
But Holmes, there's a chance these belong to another cat, isn't there? It does have its strays.
Doubtful. If I may direct your attention here. Outside the wall, there's no trees to climb for security purposes. That makes identifying these paw prints a simple task.
Very clever, my dear friend. So if we follow these...
This way, Watson!
Alright, come on, Emily. Watch your step now.
Wait! A rude awakening was waiting upon my first step.
My lady, so this is where you've been.
Pendleton!
Do you know how frightfully worried I was when I couldn't find you? Come, I shall escort you back to the party, now. And what happened to your dress? It's been soiled with dirt. I'll have that cleaned before we return.
Forgive me, Pendleton. I am truly busy, and with good reason.
Oh, busy? I should think climbing trees and running around behind my back does not constitute as busy.
I suppose there's a bit of truth to that.
My lady, must I drag you back kicking and screaming? Must I again inform you?
At this rate, Pendleton would be content to scold me for hours. I opened my mouth without a second thought. Pendleton, I spoke with Her Majesty.
Excuse me? My lady, I hope you don't think me so naive as to believe your tall tales.
I'm not lying. She asked me if I was the daughter of Olivia Whiteley. She knew Mother well, seems.
Her Majesty knew Lady Olivia?
Yes. I cannot explain everything, but she did ask for my help. She really did. Pendleton, please, let me go. I wish to help her. My queen. I begged, and with begging came the hindsighted pang that I may have played one too many tricks of the past for him to be convinced.
Very well. You may go.
Really? I couldn't believe it at first. He was letting me go. I had barely explained my reasoning. No objections whatsoever? You believe me when I say Her Majesty asked me for help?
You would prefer I doubt you? Well, if I must, then I fear I simply cannot believe you. Starting now, I've dedicated every fiber of my being to disbelief.
No, I don't do that. That isn't what I meant.
Then I'm uncertain what the problem is. Do what you must, my lady.
Thank you, and I do hope you aren't disappointed. I know you spared no effort for today.
You needn't concern yourself. Now, don't you have something important to carry out? I can't think of anyone foolish enough to dally on a request from Her Majesty.
Bless you, Pendleton. And I should like to ask a favor of you. Would you mind?
I am always at your service.
I don't know if this will work, but... Please, wait! I rushed to catch up to the boys. Watson looked around, unsure of where my voice was coming from, before smiling when he saw me.
Emily, where were you? I was worried after you disappeared.
I'm terribly sorry about that. I had to let my butler know what I was doing.
Butler? Ah, I suppose anyone invited to a party as fancy as that would have a butler or two.
For the briefest moment, it felt as though he saw me by my cloths.
Right then. This is the way. She must be on her way to Hyde's Park.
Watson and I followed, as to not be left behind.
We're lucky that Hyde Park is so open compared to the rest of the city. Hardly any blind spots for us to overlook.
Now, here's the clue. The insect carcass looks to have been damaged by some sharp claws.
A cat, I would guess. But it's most likely the work of a stray, isn't it?
No, the strays are not natural hunters that can take down the prey quickly, but this particular cat had a hard time of it. One can deduce then that it is not used to hunting.
Which points only to Chelsea.
I would say so, yes.
Hasn't been long since she escaped, but she must be aware we're searching for her.
Watson muttered whilst tracking Chelsea's steps. What makes you think that?
Even if a pet's been kept in... Ugh. Excuse me. Let me take a sip of tea. I got a container here. Hold on, please. Even if a pet's been kept its entire life, the moment it steps outside, instinct kicks in. That, and the cat's hearing is 4 times that of a human's. Chelsea's had to have heard us following her.
My, you know a lot about animals, Watson.
You noticed? I do rather like them, and they seem just as fond of...
It just means we need to take care of not to disturb her. Let's move on.
Without another word, Holmes swiftly left us.
Wait! Oh, there it is again. He doesn't have to sulk every time.
Is he? I didn't notice anything different. That, and I couldn't recall anything we said that would bother him.
You'll see what I mean after some more time with him. Now, let's follow him.
Alright. Holmes advanced and ruminated, mindful of nothing as a whole, whilst being simultaneously very observant of everything, until the trail was disrupted by scattered, muddy patterns of paw prints. They're over here too, but look at them. Can't find a single proper trail leading anywhere.
With how sporadic these steps are, it's impossible for her to run at top speed. She must be stopping and going at random.
Could be she's panicking as she knows we aren't far behind.
Steps face towards the north end of the park.
You're right. Let's see if she's over there.
Before that, I wish to expound upon Watson's unparalleled knowledge of felines.
It was the same clipped tone he used before moving ahead.
Come off it, Holmes. No harm in showing me off a bit. You don't have to, no harm in me showing off a bit. You don't have to steal my thunder each and every time.
Steal your thunder, you say? Ha, how queer. Is that what you call tripping over yourself to please a simpleton like her?
Well, I never. The retort was so natural that I almost didn't understand what he said. Almost. That's just awful. Me, a simpleton.
And what's this about tripping myself? We both know I'm a lot better on my feet than you.
Stop talking over each other all at once. It's getting on my nerves.
He forced past the issue he started by returning to the mystery at hand, insult already long gone from his mind. But I'll never forget.
It's believed that it's just 1 year for a cat is equivalent to 17 human years.
Then Chelsea would be close to our own ages.
Even so, a cat's intelligence is only at the level of 2 or 3-year-olds, right? So she couldn't outsmart us.
Most would think that, yet it's very much possible. Why, you ask? Cats are skilled hunters with both keen instincts and exceptionally capable builds. At any time, we could be thrown off our trail. So stay focused. We need all of our wits about us if we hope to find her before it's too late.
It was a tone of indifference that spoke of routine work, but there was something else as well, an urgency that was overshadowed by his lack of expression.
Not to worry, Holmes. If worst comes to worst, I'll grab her tail and...
How could you, Watson? You shouldn't grab the poor thing's tail.
It's one thing to set about a scoundrel during a fight, but you have to reconsider hurting the Queen's cat.
You do have a point. I don't know what I was thinking.
Watson stood there, sleeves rolled up and ready to go on the offensive before Holmes and I stopped him. As he let his arm drop to defeat, Holmes' attention shifted. Watson was quick to notice.
Wait! I see. Now it all makes sense.
What is it, Holmes?
Look, the paw prints disappeared right here. After that, nothing.
I looked where he pointed. You're right, but where did she go? There isn't a tree she can climb close by.
Even if she could jump a long distance, I don't see any sort of gap between prints. What do you make of it, Holmes?
She backtracked, went backwards by following the very path she created.
You're saying she's carefully stepping into every one of her own paw prints? Backwards? Can a cat do something so precise?
If what's illustrated here is to be believed, yes. Once done, she could continue somewhere that would disguise her whereabouts better like a patch of grass. It is but one of many tactics an animal will use to escape its predators. Chelsea is a pet, but when push comes to shove, even she can draw from her natural feline instincts to deceive her adversaries.
She must have wanted to get away at any cost. I didn't think anyone could hate Her Majesty so much.
I think hate is a strong word for it. She's simply not the most attached yet.
Not that your interpretation is of any importance. The cold truth is that Chelsea ran away from the Queen.
At least the truth wasn't as cold as Holmes.
It matters not if she hates the Queen. The point I'm making is all living things must act on their natural instincts the moment the situation calls for it. Much like this.
Holmes suddenly had his oncoming fist mere centimeters from my nose. I stepped back before he could strike. What on earth?
Holmes! You can't do that to a girl!
Slow-witted as she is, she moved without a second thought to avoid the danger.
I see your point. I wasn't thinking much at all when I moved. And you say Chelsea would adopt those same instincts?
Oh, Emily, you're too sweet for your own good. Point proven, yes, but you nearly hit a young lady in the process. You won't be earning high marks for chivalry anytime soon.
Experience is the best teacher. The two of you should be thanking me.
If it helps you sleep at night.
Watson heaved a heavy sigh.
In other case, cats are capable of speeds up to 50 kilometers per hour. Quite a bit faster than the world record for humans, which means we can never beat them. Think, Holmes. There must be a way. What have I missed?
For the first time, his face was pinched visibly with frustration.
Where did she jump from? Where did she land? Where undead leaves, there would, of course, be no trail to follow. We cannot simply retrace our steps and hope to stumble upon something. That gave her too much time to escape. What should we do?
Holmes.
Holmes, Watson, do you two have a moment? I gingerly spoke to avoid further irritating him. I can't say for certain if this will work, but I have an idea.
Really, Emily?
Out with it?
What if we were to call up to her? Bring her to us.
Miss Whiteley, what are you going on about?
He is! He's just arrived! Over here! Pendleton! The sound of a carriage rattled from behind us.
My lady, I apologize for keeping you.
He quickly stepped down from the carriage. Pendleton, were you able to find any?
Indeed, I was. I brought as much as I could carry.
Thank you. If you would then, please light them.
Right away, my lady.
Pendleton went to work burning the plant.
I don't understand. Is this part of your plan?
These are silver vines. They're plants one would find in Asia. I'd ask Pendleton to cut some stems off the ones we grow in our garden.
Is that alright? To step away at one of your precious plants?
A merchant from the east presented them to me. This is an emergency. No time to fret over such things. I can snip whatever I want. The stems and leaves caught fire one by one, and a stream of smoke billowed.
Are you daft? You can't burn anything in the park. Plants or otherwise is prohibited.
With the circumstances as they are, you will have to forgive me.
Pendleton kept burning at a steady pace to keep the fire under his control. My helps were soon rewarded when slowly a curious car approached from a nearby bush. It mewed as it edged closer, entrenched by the rising smoke.
What? Wait, this is...
Ooh, a kitty cat.
Now you see, the aroma this plant gives off attracts cats. Its scientific name is Jdbutler, but most know it better as powder. It's a favorite of theirs, in fact. They can't get enough of the smell.
Would you look at that? The cats are coming in from all directions.
Well, thank God it worked. I don't know if it would, if I'm being honest. I've only heard that it's particularly effective against male cat. Let's hope Chelsea is the exception. Gentle mewing could be heard here and there. As time passed, however, gentle turned to emphatic, and here, there turned into everywhere. Then, to our astoundment, the situation took even more unusual turn.
What's wrong with them? Is this normal?
They're dancing like they're gone
That's
mad. What is this?
Well, the plant's very effective at attracting cats, but its scent has the same effect on them as alcohol does on humans. They're drunk, so to speak.
How about that? So that's why they're so loose and rolling about.
Watson picked up the cat affectionately, rubbing against its legs. It will take time, but they'll be sober again soon enough.
And now we have an entirely new conundrum on our hands. We find Chelsea now, she'll be in no condition to attend the ceremony.
Holmes tried to pet a cat also, but it rejected him in favor of Watson.
Did you consider what would happen in the event we have presented a drunken cat to the Queen?
Alright. Once we spot Chelsea, we'll extinguish the fire and take her away from here. That way we'll have caught her and she'll only be a touch drunk.
Hopefully.
Let's not worry about the ifs, ands, or buts until we've tried and tried again. Now's the time to focus on finding and killing her.
As a last resort, do I have your permission to use a sedative?
That's our very last option, then yes, I'll allow it.
And who exactly is allowing you to allow that in the first place?
You know, Holmes, you would do well to keep quiet every now and again.
You're the one who needs to keep quiet.
Oh, look there! Doesn't that Siamese have a gold collar with a jewel?
Watson was the first to see the new cat approaching.
A gold collar and a white tail. That must be Chelsea.
We did it! Here, kitty kitty, this way! Chelsea was staggering, but she was too tempted by the smell in the air to resist. I carefully opened up my arms as to not frighten her, and her. Got you, Chelsea. Meow. You had us worried, you naughty girl.
We really did it, and we got the collar back to boot. Now, why does it sound like that?
More and more cops were poking their heads from the bushes and hiding places, completely surrounding us. Let's return to the palace. I pray we're in time for the ceremony. We met with the inspector, who is coming from the opposite end of the park.
What are you doing over here?
I was at a loss by the sight of burning plants and the mass invasion of cops. He stared, eyes and mouth wide open. Thankfully, what caught him most was the cat nestled in my arms.
She is. My good man, did you really catch Chelsea?
Yes, as you can plainly see. To be precise, she would be the one who caught the cat.
He prompted as he forced the confession.
That's so. She's really something. Well, no time to waste. Let's return her to Her Majesty straight away.
Then, Pendleton, we'd best be on our way.
Of course. I'm dreadfully sorry to ask this of Scotland Yard, but would you be willing to put out the fire? Yes, sir. Would be our pleasure to handle it. Salute to Chelsea!
All the officers present rushed before the carriage to give a proper salute. It feels nice to have Scotland Yard saluting us, doesn't it?
It's the royal cat, not for you.
You know that? I wasn't letting it go to my head. We set off in the carriage. The entire time, Chelsea was more than happy to stay curled up in my lap.
She was certainly a funny one, wasn't she?
I don't care. The kiss has been solved, it's time to go home.
Home? What about the party? You don't want to see the ceremony?
If you want to go, then you may do so alone. We were consulted and a cat was caught. Nothing else matters.
No need to be so curt, my dear friend. But I have to wonder, is she really a girl of the nobility? never got that impression when we were with her.
Well, she looks as vacant as the next, but with such a frightfully aggressive personality, I gather that she's far from an ordinary noblewoman. I suppose she was brought up training in the mountains.
Holmes? I mean, she doesn't have the air of being better than us. She's kind. She wasn't concerned with formalities. Said that we could speak as we like with her. Helps that she's so pretty, too.
Ha! Look at you. You've been bewitched by those innocent dull eyes, haven't you?
Me? Bewitched?
I've changed my mind. We shall go back to Buckingham's palace. I'm curious to see if she's nibbling away at the food as we speak.
Wait now! Holmes!
Oh, it brings me great pleasure to see you all gathered here today. May our fair British Empire be forever blessed. And may we take this opportunity to deepen relations with our loved ones.
The ceremony had already started by the time we arrived. The figure of Her Majesty, smiling in all her natural grace, lighted the entire room. The band carried on with the same energy, playing a jovial tune whilst the crowd applauded to her speech. Her Majesty's wandering eyes then found me among the guests. I was being escorted by Scotland Yard. Her wonderful smile broadened.
Now, if I may, I should like to introduce a very pretty friend of mine.
I took a deep, deep breath, then apprehensively stepped onto the stage with Chelsea. Your Majesty, we've brought Chelsea home to you.
I was right to have faith in you. Thank you, Emily.
He winked playfully, then held Chelsea before the King of Siam. He merely observed her at first, but soon his eyes narrowed in approval, and he stroked Chelsea's fur with the tenderness of one caring for his own.
Siamese are akin to walking jewels to my people. It has become clear to me today that Chelsea has been raised with all the love you have in your heart to give. It's thanks to your love she has become the happiest, most striking jewel in the world. Your Majesty Queen Victoria, may both our countries achieve eternal friendship and prosperity.
Their very dearest hopes as well.
Her Majesty took the hand of the King, and the guests erupted in applause. The golden collar around Chelsea's neck shimmered with all the purity of a years-long vow. Today would be a day to remember, both for myself and for relations between our two countries. Oh, oops. I forgot. Chelsea's still intoxicated. Poor thing's lost all focus. Nothing will happen, will it? The guys shouldn't be able to tell the difference when they're so far away, I hope.
What a mess. It's painfully obvious something's wrong with the thing.
Oh, really? I can't tell from here.
I can't watch this anymore. It's just worse off than some drunkard at a pub. You'll have to pray the king have poor eyesight.
Details! Chelsea is safe, and that's the best we could ask for.
That may be so, but I would prefer a more elegant method of ensuring her safety.
Her methods may have intrigued you, at the very least. You wouldn't have come back here otherwise.
Did you say something?
Huh, not a word.
I heard from the palace the very next day.